Welcome back to Basketball, everyone. So ever since I was like 4 years old when I started playing Battle for Bikini Bottom for like the first time, I've been really wanting a sequel to that game, or another open world SpongeBob game similar to that. I actually got my hopes up when Plankton's Robotic Revenge came out because I thought, well, that was going to be a successor that was going to be like a successor to Battle for Bikini Bottom. Didn't end up happening, and that's one of the worst SpongeBob games. But still, my dream hasn't, dwindled yet because we are getting Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. THQ Nordic knows what we want in a SpongeBob game, and after Rehydrated comes out, and if it does well, I definitely see a brand new open world SpongeBob game in the near future. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about what I would like to see in the supposed sequel to Battle for Bikini Bottom or new open world SpongeBob game. I'm going to be throwing out a lot of ideas, so a lot of them are definitely not going to happen, but just exactly what I would like to see. And before we really get into it, I do want to mention that over on my gaming channel, Bassab Gaming, I've been playing Battle for Bikini Bottom as well as the SpongeBob movie game, doing a little Let's Play of that. The movie game is actually a blind Let's Play because I've never played that one before. But yeah, I'm uploading part 6 to the movie game right now, so if you guys want to go ahead and check that out, link will be in the description to that channel. And soon I'm actually going to be live streaming a lot of these games and then cutting them up into smaller parts if you just want to see it, like an edited version of that part. But I think live stream can be a lot more fun. I'd get to interact with you guys, and if I get like stuck on a certain part during like blind walkthroughs, I can get some help and stuff like that. I think it'd be a lot more fun. And then for people who don't want to watch a whole live stream or something unedited, I'll edit it down to littler parts. I think that could be a lot of fun, and that's like kind of like my plans for the channel moving forward. But go ahead and subscribe to that if you're interested, and let's go ahead and get into the video. A big thing that a lot of SpongeBob fans have been wanting for an open world SpongeBob game is the chance to play as more characters. Now, in newer SpongeBob games made by Activision, they gave you the option to play as other characters such as Mr. Krabs and Squidward, which a lot of people have been wanting because in Battle for Bikini Bottom, you can only play as SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy. And I feel like that did work for that game, and it was really well balanced. And it also allowed them to be really cool NPCs to interact with, and Mr. Krabs would give you golden spatulas for shiny objects. However, Patrick was still playable in that game and gave you socks as well. I would love to see a full-blown adventure with the entire main cast. I mean, SpongeBob, Patrick, Squidward, Mr. Krabs, and Sandy. I don't really think I'm asking for too much, and 5 playable characters can work. And having 5 playable characters in this game would also leave an opportunity for the developers to make a multiplayer mode. And it'd be really cool to see the developers get really creative with the movesets for these characters, because I do understand why Mr. Krabs and let's say Squidward weren't like the first options that the developers for Battle for Bikini Bottom had in their head when it came to playable characters, because when you have that game, you have SpongeBob. He's sort of the neutral guy. He's like the Mario of it all. Then you have Patrick, he's the powerhouse, and Sandy was a lot more agile and could reach farther distances with her lasso. So I understand why they didn't like jump on the opportunity for more playable characters, but I would greatly appreciate having Mr. Krabs and Squidward playable, even if it is just for a couple of moments in a future game. But I feel like that's something that every big fan who's wanted a new open world SpongeBob game has thought about. And now getting into like more niche stuff, I feel like in a new game, instead of going to like basic different areas in Bikini Bottom, but some more niche areas that we haven't really explored too much in the SpongeBob TV series. And I'm not just talking about like one-off areas that we barely remember, I'm talking areas that did leave a lasting impression but we didn't really go back to. Something like a rock bottom. And if you take a look at all of the SpongeBob SquarePants specials, we can see some very interesting areas that a lot of people do remember. It's just we only saw them from that one special, but since it was such a big event when the episode released or whenever you see it, it leaves a lasting impression. Like the SpongeBob special UGG or SpongeBob BC. Seeing SpongeBob characters or ancestors of SpongeBob and the rest of the cast in a more prehistoric area, and it could also allow for some costume changes later on that could be pretty cool. Another one that immediately comes to mind is Dunces and Dragons, where SpongeBob and Patrick go to medieval times and have this really cool adventure together. You guys probably already remember. I mean, that in and of itself feels like it already could be its own game. It's SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward going to go save Pearl from the evil Planktonomore, which is King Krabs' daughter. And you go on this epic quest in medieval times. SpongeBob and Patrick become knights. Of course, you have Squidward there as well, just being a jester and all, if you guys do remember that episode. With that basic location, just medieval times, could be a really cool level to explore, and it also allows the developers to go crazy with different ideas, kind of like they did with the Flying Dutchman's Graveyard. That wasn't necessarily a big location or even a location at all that we explored in the TV show, but it allowed the developers to do whatever they wanted with it because we wouldn't even know what it looked like since we didn't see it in the TV show. I would love to see a game that revisits a lot of these very memorable SpongeBob specials and expands upon them, retells the story that were in those specials because they were kind of forgotten, but then expand on them as well, make them a lot more fun to explore and a lot longer as well. Maybe not only make this an open world SpongeBob game with a lot of collectibles, let's say a collectathon like Battle for Bikini Bottom was, but when you go into different areas, it also has little mini plots to go along with it, similar to Kingdom Hearts, I would say. Mix it up a little, give you more of a reason to stay in these locations than just to collect objects or anything of the sorts. And whether or not these are in the locations from different SpongeBob specials like I mentioned, I would like these mini plots to be contained within these different areas that you go to so that you don't get kind of bored just doing the same thing over and over again, going into a new level, collecting things, but have a little plot in there and then you collect things along the way. This would allow me to get more invested into the locations that we are going to and give me a reason to reach the end of the level than just to collect objects. But like I said, we can do that along the way, whether they are golden spatulas or shiny objects. They kind of did that in Battle for Bikini Bottom where we had to get that jelly from King Jellyfish and that's why we ended up fighting that boss, but something a little bit more in depth I would like to see where you would have to interact with more characters and it kind of feels like its own sectioned off game. You have the overarching game, that's where you're collecting things for, that's why you're going to these different areas, but maybe in these areas just have something else going on. The thing that I loved most about Battle for Bikini Bottom is that Bikini Bottom felt like a real place. You could explore it in a way that you never could in the TV show. You could go wherever you want, so many different places to be. And I feel like if you add these little extra mini side quest stories, more NPCs, people to interact with, I feel like Bikini Bottom or just the SpongeBob universe in general would feel more like a real place. That's something that Battle for Bikini Bottom got really right, and you know, that was a game back in 2003. Think about the technology we have now. The more that we can do, it is definitely even plausible to recreate like episodes of SpongeBob. Imagine that, recreating episodes of SpongeBob just in a video game. So certain sections you can play as these characters and just to completely reenact or recreate an episode. That's a whole other idea on its own. But that could be a very cool game to see as well. Take the most loved and classic SpongeBob episodes, recreate them in a video game where you play as the characters in it. Okay, now I'm just flying out with a bunch of random ideas, but that's the thing. With something like SpongeBob, the history that it has, all of the content that has been produced throughout the years, there is just so much you can do with this series in a video game format. I'm kind of rambling now, but I feel like they only scratched the surface when it came to Battle for Bikini Bottom. Imagine Battle for Bikini Bottom never having made back in 2003. Then they get the idea to do something like that now in 2019. Just imagine what it would be like. Now, they're recreating Battle for Bikini Bottom. We know what it would look like with updated graphics, but, you know, everything seems a little cramped. You look at the main hub world and, you know, the first area with SpongeBob, Squidward, and Patrick's house, it looks accurate to the show. But then you get into other areas like Sandy's Treatum, Shady Shoals, Rock Bottom. All of these things are kind of squished together because they couldn't create like a really big map. This is obviously not where it's located in the show, even though it can be argued what is located where in the show, but it's obvious that they crimped a bunch of stuff together because that's all they could do. Imagine a giant map of Battle for Bikini Bottom now. Think Breath of the Wild. Now, obviously not to that extent because I'd say Bikini Bottom isn't that big to begin with. You can't really do that much with it, but I mean, that would be super cool. Imagine like a huge map of Bikini Bottom covering all the places. That means Jellyfish Fields. That means Goo Lagoon. And even places like the Salty Spittoon, Weenie Hut Juniors, like they cover it in that much detail. And then once you get to certain areas, you can mark them on a map and teleport to them. I don't know. I'm going really crazy now. Because Bikini Bottom felt like a real place in Battle for Bikini Bottom. That's why people loved that game. Now with the technology we can have, we can actually create Bikini Bottom. I mean, imagine going into the salty spittoon and using that area to like upgrade yourself, make yourself stronger, and because it's the salty spittoon, obviously that'd be like its purpose. You go in there to buy upgrades. I think that could be really funny. Of course, this is just me throwing out random ideas, and that's pretty much all I have. I didn't want to make this video too long because I could talk forever about something like this, and I'll probably make another video in the future talking about other things that I would like to see in a future SpongeBob game. Maybe I'll make it a little bit more streamlined and, let's say, clean, because this was very improvised. I just sat down and started talking about SpongeBob. But let me know in the comments below what you guys would like to see in a future SpongeBob game. I'm definitely going to bring up this topic in another video sometime soon. Definitely make sure to subscribe to Massive Gaming, like I said, as well. Part 6 of my SpongeBob movie game Let's Play should be up, and I plan on live streaming the rest of that game, as well as Battle for Bikini Bottom, and then cutting them up into smaller pieces for people who don't want to watch the live stream. But with that being said, everybody, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.